doctor is one of the most respected professions in the world. But what happens when the person wearing the coat uses it to take advantage? In aesthetic clinics, where people lie down trustingly, where light sedation is part of the process, a lot can happen without anyone noticing. Anyone who goes in to remove a wrinkle may leave with a strange feeling that they can't explain. And sometimes there's a reason for that. Today, you will learn about a real case that started as just another common procedure and ended up revealing what no one wanted to see. Sit back, put on your headphones, and join the story. Clinica Nova Derm was a small empire camouflaged among the stores on a commercial avenue in Benito Juarez, in Mexico City. He didn't attract attention because of his facade, but because of his reputation. The entrance was discreet, with small reception painted in light tones and ambient music that played calmly for the women who entered there. It was like walking through a door to something more than aesthetics. It was a break from the rush of life, a moment where, for the first time in a long time, they could take care of themselves. Most patients were over 40 years old. Many had already been mothers, wives, caregivers. Others were recently divorced. Some just wanted to erase signs of the times that they said didn't match who they still felt like inside. They had names, stories, but they were only called client number 27, 1 p.m. record, double chin procedure. This wasn't evil, it was routine. Nova Derm offered a variety of procedures considered simple: Botox, lip fillers, facial support threads, mole removal, double chin liposuction, microsurgeries for deep wrinkles, all advertised with promises of immediate rejuvenation, with visible results on the same day. It was a type of treatment that, in large clinics, would cost 3 times as much. But there, with the optimized protocols, everything was cheaper. The formula for success seemed perfect. In the center of the structure was Dr. Camila Ortega, the star of the clinic. She was young, elegant, and articulate. She always wore a white coat, light lipstick, and perfectly tied hair. His presence on social media was constant, in videos with neutral background. She appeared smiling while talking about self-esteem, taking care of time, and how women deserve to feel good about their appearance. His charisma was the fuel of the brand. She appeared in every photo, in every flyer, in every post on the clinic's account. Patients trusted her almost instantly. Camila was welcoming and spoke looking into people's eyes. He explained the procedures clearly, showed before and after images, and offered light sedation as additional care so that the experience was relaxing and free from discomfort. Most accepted. After all, in videos, it was possible to see her applying procedures to herself. This created a trust that was difficult to break. The other name of the clinic, although it was on all the documents, was Dr. Alvaro Medina. In the contracts, he was described as technical, administrative, and legal responsible. The employees knew he was there, but they never saw him in the lobby. His office was in the back, locked with a key with a sign, "Authorized personnel only." They said he took care of spreadsheets, suppliers, and health inspection. Camila herself said in a light tone, "He is the bureaucratic soul of the clinic. Without him, we would close. But he doesn't like to show up." The truth was different. The room where the procedures were performed was equipped with everything expected from a medical environment. Stretcher, intense white lighting, trays of sterilized instruments, mirror on the wall, built-in cabinet with sedatives and anesthetics, approved for topical use. Everything seemed normal, but there was something there that no one noticed. 2 small circular holes near the ceiling, discreet, strategically positioned above the stretcher. They were cameras, installed inside the wall, connected to an encrypted server locked inside Alvaro's room. The process was rehearsed. Camila explained each step delicately, prepared the patient, applied the sedative, and started the procedure. But before finishing it, I used some excuse. "I'm going to change the thread. I'm going to get another needle. I need to check your form again." Within minutes, she left the room and partially locked the door, and Alvaro entered, dressed in a clean coat, gloves, and surgical mask. He walked quickly, precisely. The patients were in a state of semi-consciousness. Some moved slightly, others murmured, but they didn't wake up. He was getting closer. It played. He manipulated parts of the body that were not part of the procedure. The camera recorded everything. He did what he wanted in silence. Then he left with the same care. And Camila came back as if she had never left. The final result was delivered. Patients woke up and saw a firmer face, slightly fuller lips, and less marked skin. They thought it was normal to feel a little confused. Some commented, "It seems like I slept too much." I don't really remember everything. I dreamed there was a man in the room. And Camila smiled without hesitation. Normal. Some medications induce dreams. Relax, you look beautiful. The scheme worked flawlessly. No patient was suspicious. No employees approached the restricted areas. The images accumulated in folders named by dates and codes. Alvaro named each video with clinical coldness. SD, 27 p.m. 08F42. In total, there were 164 recordings carried out over 2 years. Patients of different ages, histories, and contexts, all recorded without knowing it. No suspicions, no complaints, no breaks in the system. The new dermis grew. They even considered a second unit. More followers on Instagram, more videos recorded, more word-of-mouth referrals. There was total confidence in Camila's method, until the day when, between sedation and a scalpel, a patient opened her eyes. And what she saw, even without being able to react, was the beginning of the end. Mariana Rivas was 43 years old, a public school teacher, divorced for just over a year and mother of a teenager. She was never too vain. But after the separation, she began to feel the effects of time on her own face more strongly, not out of vanity, but out of a kind of insecurity that she couldn't even explain properly. I wanted to feel good, look in the mirror, and not look so tired. She discovered Nova Derm through a school friend who praised the service and prices. He saw the clinic's profile on social media, watched Dr. Camila's videos, and felt comfortable with the idea. Everything was very clean, very direct, very well presented. He called and made an appointment for a Thursday late afternoon. When he arrived, the reception was quiet. The clinic was impressively calm, with soft ambient music, natural plants, and the light scent of eucalyptus in the air. Camila welcomed her with a smile, complimented her hair, reassured her as if they were having coffee in a living room. Mariana explained that she didn't want to change her face, just to soften some marks on her cheeks and forehead. Nothing exaggerated. "It's totally possible, Mariana," replied Camila. "We will leave you with the face you feel inside, lighter, more yours." Before the procedure, Camila suggested light sedation, so that she could relax and not feel uncomfortable. Mariana hesitated, but the doctor assured her that it was a common relaxant that didn't last long. She trusted. He sat on the stretcher, took a deep breath, and felt the liquid entering his vein. The ceiling began to slowly rotate. The light became more intense, and the sound seemed to recede. She fell asleep, but at a certain point, something made her wake up. Not completely, but enough to realize something was wrong. His eyes slowly opened, blurred. My body felt heavy. My mind was still blurry, but you managed to see it. She was lying on the stretcher. Camila wasn't there. There was a man in the room. He wore a mask, gloves, and was hunched over her. He didn't manipulate instruments. It was touching her body, not your forehead, not your cheek. It touched regions that were not part of the procedure. Mariana tried to move her arm, but he didn't respond. He tried to speak, but only managed a muffled sound. When his eyes moved more clearly, the man looked straight at her, and it stopped. It froze for a second. Then he adjusted his mask, stepped back, and left the room through a side door. Mariana tried to understand what had happened, but her body didn't react quickly. Everything seemed slow, dragged. In less than 2 minutes, Camila returned, with the same sweet voice as always, as if nothing had happened. "Everything is going very well, Mariana. We're already finishing it, okay?" Mariana was unable to respond. He could only stare at the ceiling, his heart racing. When she woke up, she was already sitting up, with a glass of water in her hands, still dizzy. Camila said it was normal, that the medication relaxed her so much that many patients slept soundly. Mariana didn't say anything at the time. He took the bag, thanked him, and left. But something inside her wouldn't let it go. That night, he barely slept. I woke up with the image of that man in my mind. The touch, the feeling of being defenseless. In the following days, he looked for ways to understand what had happened. He called the clinic twice to try to speak to the doctor, but they always said she was in attendance. The third time, he asked to come back. They said there was no need, that she had done great, that any adjustments would only be made in 6 months. Mariana then sought out a lawyer known to the family. He told what he remembered. He listened to her carefully, but soon explained that without evidence, it would be impossible to pursue a complaint. She had no images, no names, nor could she say exactly what happened. This is going to feel like a post-sedation daydream, he said. I don't want you to go through this and still be harmed. Still, she insisted. He went to a police station, registered a bulletin. He made a point of writing down everything he remembered. He said he wanted it to at least be documented. But the way the attendant looked at her while typing the data made it clear what they were thinking. And, in fact, nothing happened. The clinic was not notified. No investigation was opened. Camila continued with her videos, and Nova Derm continued to serve normally. Mariana never went back there, but he also couldn't forget. She felt angry at herself for not reacting. I felt angry for having trusted, and I felt even angrier knowing that I couldn't do anything with what I knew. Over the next few months, she tried to bury it in her mind. But there was one thing I couldn't get out of my memory. That man's eyes looking straight at her when he realized she was awake. A look of surprise, fear, and calculation. A look that seemed to say, "You won't remember anything. And even if you do, no one will believe you." That Tuesday morning, Clinica Nova Derm operated with the same organization that has always defined it. The receptionist wore a white uniform with gold details. The rooms were impeccable. The instrumental track softly filled the corridors, and Dr. Camila smiled as she received yet another client who was looking to fill in the wrinkles on her face. The schedule was full. Procedures piled up one after another, and nothing seemed out of place. But what no one imagined was that, while everything was going on as usual, something was moving silently behind the walls of the clinic. Something that, in a few hours, would bring everything down. David Herrera arrived at the clinic at 9:47 a.m. He was a refrigeration systems technician, self-employed, hired by an outsourced company that provided maintenance for several medical establishments. The service would be simple, just checking the air circulation in one of the internal rooms where the central air conditioning had given a fault warning. He was led by an employee to the back of the building, where the clinic server was located, an area little frequented by outsiders. While evaluating the air entry point over the equipment rack, he noticed that one of the computers in the room was on. The screen showed a security interface with minimized windows. It wasn't uncommon for clinics to have internal cameras, but the positioning of the folders caught his attention. He accidentally clicked the mouse while moving a tool on the table, which expanded one of the windows. What he saw didn't last more than a few seconds. It was a recording. The image showed an unconscious woman lying on a stretcher and a man in a lab coat and mask next to her, touching her body with surgical gloves. There were no instruments, no scalpels, no syringes, just him and her unconscious. David closed the window without saying a word, took a deep breath, and finished his work normally. No one noticed his silence. No one noticed his gaze fixed on the ground as he left the clinic. But 2 days later, an anonymous tip arrived at the Mexico City Public Security Secretariat. The envelope included the name of the clinic, the full address, the name of the responsible doctor, and direct guidance. Check the local server. The images are stored there. The complaint was passed on to the Crimes Against the Dignity of Women sector, where a prosecutor with experience in medical cases was in charge of analyzing it. The content of the message drew attention for its precision and clarity. In less than 72 hours, a judicial authorization was issued, allowing access to location and seizure of the video files. On the morning of the operation, agents disguised as health inspectors arrived at the clinic and presented documents for a technical inspection. Camila Ortega received them personally. He showed the spaces with the confidence of someone who owed nothing. He said that they had all their documents up to date, that they followed biosafety protocols, and that the video equipment was only for internal control. They asked about the other technical manager, Dr. Alvaro Medina. She replied that he was not present that day, that it was common for him to work from home. The public prosecutor's office technicians were taken to the server room. They connected the forensic equipment and, within minutes, found dozens of hidden and encrypted folders. The folders were numbered with codes, but the videos were not password protected. The first video opened. In silence, everyone saw the same scene. A patient unconscious on the stretcher. The doctor left the room, and minutes later, a man, clearly Dr. Alvaro Medina, entered and started touching the woman in a way that was completely outside of any medical practice. The images were clear, crisp, dated, and organized. It was impossible to claim error. The movements were cold, repeated, and always timed. When the patient began to show signs of awakening, he quickly left. Then, Camila returned and ended the procedure. 164 complete files were identified, all recorded between October 2011 and May 2013. Each video had the same structure. Some recordings were longer than 10 minutes. Others lasted just over 5. Some showed patients being brutally touched. Others with an almost surgical coldness. All were unconscious. None knew what had happened. The cameras were positioned high on the wall, disguised as motion sensors. The system recorded audio, but was deactivated. It was meticulous work, built over years within a clinic that sold rejuvenation and self-esteem as a product. Camila was immediately called to the technical room. When he saw the videos, he lost his color. He tried to say that he didn't know anything, that he would never have agreed to something like that he had no idea the cameras existed. But she appeared in all the videos, sedating patients and leaving the room immediately afterwards. She claimed that she left the room to get materials. The images, however, said more. In some videos, she looked directly at the corner of the wall where the cameras were. In others, he returned calmly, as if following a rehearsed protocol. The clinic was closed that same day. All scheduled appointments had been canceled. Nova Derm social networks went offline in less than an hour. Camila and Alvaro were taken to the Central Police Station during the early hours of the morning. The press did not find out immediately, but when I found out, the case took over the news. Aesthetics Clinic closes after discovery of serial abuse, read the first headline that appeared online. More than 160 women recorded without knowing, published the local newspaper. 2 doctors are arrested for abusing sedated patients during facial procedures, concluded a radio station in the capital. The images of the clinic's facade, previously used to attract customers, now illustrated the worst news stories in the country. In the following weeks, calls began to come in from patients who had come to the clinic over the past 2 years. Some were panicked, others confused, others angry. Many reported that they had felt something strange after the procedure, but never understood what it was. A feeling of invasion, of emptiness, of nameless discomfort. Prosecutors organized a task force to try to identify each victim based on clinic appointment records and recovered videos. Not all were located. Some never returned to live in the city. Others may never know what really happened that day. Among the names was Mariana Rivas. His attendance was recorded in the records. The recording existed, and there she was, sedated, being touched while unconscious, just as she had reported months earlier. His complaint, made in November 2012, had been ignored, archived due to lack of evidence, forgotten by a society that didn't believe a woman's word. During the judicial process, the public ministry maintained confidentiality regarding the identity of the complainant, but a journalistic investigation revealed what the system had left out. The technician who made the complaint was not just any service provider. His name was David Herrera, and David was Mariana Rivas's boyfriend. They had been together since the end of 2012. Mariana had told him that something horrible had happened at that clinic. She didn't give many details, perhaps out of shame, perhaps out of fear, perhaps because she couldn't properly explain what she herself still couldn't digest. She just said that she had woken up with the feeling of having been touched, that she had tried to report it, and that no one believed her. David listened to everything in silence. And months later, when he stepped into the clinic room and saw with his own eyes what no one had had the courage to reveal, he didn't need anything else. He didn't scream. He didn't confront the owners. He didn't go on social media. He just left the clinic, and 2 days later, he handed over everything. It was he who put an end to 2 years of abuse hidden under the mask of rejuvenation. He was the one who did justice. And he did this not only for Mariana, but for all the women who passed through that room and who woke up with the feeling that there was something wrong, but that the world chose to ignore. Mariana never wanted to appear on television. He never gave interviews. But her name will forever be remembered as the woman who tried to speak when no one wanted to listen, and David as the man who listened in silence. And he acted